Can.
All right.
Okay.
How's that? Is that any better? Can we just pop that into the?
I did have that off, but somehow it's turned
Yeah.
on. Cool. Sorry about that, guys. That was my mistake.
Perfect. All right.
We're on a new system. I actually really love the fact that there's video, because one of the things I really don't like on a webinar is that you can't actually see the people that are hosting it. And I think that it's really good to be able to see us. It kind of keeps us honest, I think. So
I'm going to pop the video on and see if that continues to work as well. If you do find that it's not working for you, just let us know as well. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sounds better and everything else.
All right. Kerry's still saying the sound's average, or no? Is that
no?
All good now. Great.
Right.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Okay. So that's probably enough about me. I'd like to probably introduce and hand over to yourself, Eric, and get things going and take people on this journey that we've invited them on for this evening.
Okay.
Cool. Are you ready to go?
Yeah. I am.
Beautiful. Excellent. Over to Eric.
So, hi guys. Maybe I'll quickly turn on my video, and you should turn yours off, so you can see who's talking to you and get a feel for who I am. What we're going to be learning about today is how to profit from digital real estate. What's that?
It's not working. It's still got a photo of John. You just turned your video off, but yours hasn't.
Oh, okay.
It's picking up the microphone.
Oh, the mic's plugged into John's machine.
I wonder if there's a setting.
Okay.
If we can go into settings.
Maybe we just need to unplug the mic and put it into my machine. Why don't we do that just quickly now?
How about turn on your audio? Here we go. Turn on your audio, and I'll mute mine.
Okay. So can you guys tell me whether the sound is okay? Hopefully it'll be just fine. So it's got a little bit of a lag, but there we are. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you for.
Okay. So, oh my God, Eric is wearing a shirt. I always wear shirts. What are you talking about, Dennis? Maybe a t-shirt, but today I'm wearing a shirt. It's true. I do that from time to time.
We are in Bali. It's allowed.
Okay, so you're going to be learning, about digital real estate, which is what I do. And John was actually meant to go to this slide and introduce you, but he didn't get to do it. So he did track me down in Bali, and he did ask me to do a special demonstration and to show you how I make money online. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here to do those things for you. And I'm going to share what I do. So I am Eric Roberts, and I am the Intervestor. I'm the original Intervestor, and I make money online. Yay! All sorts of different ways. The most common way is a system called Intervesting, and Intervesting is the art of finding and buying highly profitable digital property or websites. Not all of them are websites. But it's predominantly websites that are yielding, and hold your horses, hold on to the table here, yielding up to 70%. And it's not a joke, and you didn't hear me wrong. I didn't say 17%. I actually said up to 70%. And in fact, it's actually higher than that. But let's just run with that at the moment, because that's actually where we try to average out at between 50 and 70% returns. So my background, I'll just run you through this really quickly. I started in radio at a very young age. I took over my father's business. Unfortunately, he passed away when I was very young, before I was born, in fact. And it was managed by his associates until I came of age, at which time I then took over and started running. And when I took it over, we had one website. We went on to buy another 6, and we actually did licenses and whatnot. And then at the ripe old age of 23, 24, I think it was, I sold the business for an outrageous profit, because I realized that I really wasn't my dad. I wasn't a radio businessman. And I then went to the US and started doing consultancy work. And I ended up working as a script consultant with a friend of mine from Australia, and we partnered up in a company called Young Heart Productions, and we created the movie Fern Gully, which probably quite a few of you, or at least your kids, would know about, because it was a an extremely popular movie, and it was the largest non-Disney feature film in history, actually. I then went on, and I lived in LA for quite a while and did quite a lot of movies and a lot of production and raised lots and lots and lots of money. I think, I haven't added it up recently, but at last count, I think I've raised about $250, $300 million for various projects. I then went on in the very early days of the internet, 96, to produce the world's first travel blog. And it really came about because I just wanted to go traveling around Australia. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, I'll make an event out of it and I'll do it differently. So I got the very first digital camera that ever came out and had a laptop and a satellite phone, and somehow miraculously managed to link them all up and wandered around Australia on this wonderful journey, and we had hundreds of thousands of people following us, and it actually ended up being the #2 website in the world.
Wow.
It was competing with Hustler magazine or Penthouse or one of those.
Of course it was.
Yeah. But, we were right up there with everyone who was important. And after that, I went back to my farm for a little while and then went and started a resort in Fiji. And this was a highly integrated sort of resort development where we brought the community together with the tourists, and it was a huge success. But unfortunately, there was a coup in Fiji and it smashed the daylights out of me, and I ended up with nothing. And I came back to Australia living in a combi van and thinking, what on earth am I going to do with myself now? And that's when I came up with the idea of the Intervestor. And so I haven't really looked back since then. Oh, I've got to tip this back a little bit, apparently. And so here I am in Bali, and, this is the slide that you would normally see, big fancy boats and Ferraris and that sort of thing. But that's not really my gig. My gig is really about family and about good food and about, a beautiful home with no walls and a beach house. And so some of their shots you can see, these are my friends. This was a celebration. This is our little house in the rice fields up in Ubud, and this is and that's it there too. And this is our house down at the beach, and you can see the sunset view and my kids and my gorgeous, beautiful wife, who's actually right here in front of me and is causing me to smile at different times. So that's, this is my life in Bali. So, and I just wanted to show you this because what Intervestor is all about is it's all about creating the income streams that you want to live the lifestyle that you want, right? And not having to compromise on that. And so for me, the images that you're looking at here is me not compromising on my life. Now, what your life looks like could be and will be completely different, right? This is what spins my wheels, and this is what I do. I'm not doing my work. So the great thing about the Intervestor is that there's no product to create, there's no list to create, there's no sites to build, there's no market time and money as you want to. Now, a lot of people have kind of given internet market ways to make money online, and so there are a lot of things that you need to do in order to do it. So with this system, you can actually make good money doing it, right? And the real thing, and I'm just sort of wondering how many of you have actually tried to make money online. Can I just get maybe a show of hands? And maybe John, you can kind of keep track on that.
Just drop in the Q&A. If you've tried to make money online, if you've succeeded or if you're not, I'll keep you updated there, Kerry.
Eric.
Thanks, Kerry. No, haven't made money starting on eBay. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick, Kerry, Dennis. Many ways.
Okay. Cool.
Oh yeah.
All right. So a few people have been at it. Well, okay. Well,
thank you, guys.
I'm going to say to this to you, and I know it looks probably a little bit staged, but honestly, this can be a game changer for you. And if you will just give me a chance and just try to suspend your disbelief for a moment, which I know is really difficult to do on webinars because I enter every webinar in complete disbelief. right? But I believe that if you give us a chance, that you will be amazed at what you're about to see. So I'm just going to give you an outline of what's going to happen today and give you my promise, right? So I'm going to teach you 5 key steps to Intervesting. Now, as John mentioned, you know, I'm the original Intervestor, and you've probably worked out that I actually not only Intervest myself, but I also teach people. So I'm going to show you the way that we as Intervestors make money, and how we basically work the system. And of course, you know, I'm going to teach you how to do this at home, right? That's the idea. I want to give you enough information so that you can go out and do this yourself. But I'm also, along the way, and I'm not pulling any punches here, along the way, I'm also going to show you how we do it in the Intervestor, right? So it's kind of a little bit of a different format in that I'm going to show you the things that we do, but I'm also going to show you the extra things that you can do if you work with us. I'm also going to show you some statistics around this so you have an idea of what the size of the market is, and I'm going to explain why Intervesting is a business and not a scheme, structure, or a scam, right? I'm going to give you our formula, the 8 steps that I take every day to make money online, right? And we'll sit on that for a while so that you have a good chance to check it out and understand the process, right? And then I'm also going to show you how we turbocharge your efforts, right? And at that point, then I'm going to answer some questions.
I think we have time.
Yeah, well, I'll work my way through this. I'll work my way through this, some bits quickly, and other bits I really want to explain clearly to you.
So do you have people asking questions all the way through, Eric? Or
what I'm going to do is I'm going to just sort of run through a bit, and then at one point I'll answer all the questions. Okay, so if you can drop them in here, John's going to be checking on them, and by all means ask the question when you think of it, but we may not answer it immediately, and then we'll run back through, and then if you've missed it and we really want to get the answer, we will come back to it, and you know, just ask us again and we'll come back to it. Okay, so that's that part. So why am I showing you this? There's a few reasons. One, I want to spark your interest, and I want to give you enough to actually be able to do this yourself. And I also, after speaking with John and agreeing to do this, I also wanted to have the chance to show you how I can help you do it, and do what many others are doing before you. So we've got a lot of successful students. So how did it all start? I had this idea, maybe there is a better way to make money online, right? And I'd been doing internet marketing, and I'd been building mini sites, and I'd been doing affiliate this and blah, blah, that. And honestly, it was driving me nuts because I was putting a lot of work in and I really wasn't getting very far with it. And you please excuse me, I've got the side thing open and you can see the whole window, and I'm probably not very professional about it, but you know, I'd rather give you good information that you can use than then give you a super professional presentation. So that idea is what turned into Intervesting, and it's the business that I own and run. And Intervesting is actually an international fund where we invest money for investors, basically. I call them Intervestors. But it's also, we have a academy and we teach people how to do it themselves. Everybody's a little different, you know. Some people want to do some things themselves, everything themselves. Other people want other people to do it for them. So, and what we've tried to do is create a scenario where we kind of cover everything off. We try to help basically wherever we can, because at the end of the day, one of the things that I enjoy most, and everybody around me who's working with me can vouch for this, one of the things that I enjoy most is seeing other people have success, right? And it gives me goosebumps even just saying that, right? Like, I keep turning to John. He's right here next to me. You can see he's right here. And, you know, I just love when I give people information and they run with it and they're successful. And it happens to me all the time, and it makes me feel so good, right? So that's why I'm here. That's why I even started teaching anybody else. And there's a couple of other things, selfish things, right? I figured if I had a lot of people doing the same thing that I was doing, and they were all part of a network that I was basically structuring, then all sorts of great opportunities were going to come up. People were going to JV with us, people were going to invest with us, people were going to do all sorts of things. People were going to show me websites and ask me to invest with them. And that's exactly what's happening. And it's actually turned out much, much better than I ever thought it could be. So there are selfish reasons that I'm doing this. Okay, so we're just going to jump straight into the training. So the very first step, and this is one of the sort of basic places and the fundamental places that you go to find digital property that's for sale, is a site called flipper.com. So if you can jump in there. Okay, sorry, I'm being distracted by the boys. If you can jump in there, and well, maybe don't jump in, maybe you can open another window, but I can show you what you do. So the first thing you do is you go to Flipper.com. I'm just interested to know how many people have been here and know about this place. Here I come. It seems I just dropped for a second there. Just give me a second. So I can, okay, and I'm going to have to share my screen again. And here we go. Is it sharing it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, so can I get just a bit of an idea of who's here and who isn't here, and who's seen this site? Sorry, getting completely distracted by my own.
Good work. Thank you.
I just want to. Where can I see?
Anyone used it before? Anyone registered for it before?
Want to see the Q&A
audio when you start browsing. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dennis.
Okay,
Greg.
So
thanks, Greg.
Can you give me an idea? A few people have seen it. No one's really seen it. Okay, Flipper is a gold mine, right? It's nothing less than a gold mine. It is. It's a site where you can go and find digital properties. And so I'm just going to dive straight in here. And excuse the kids are yelling in the background. They're all swimming in the pool. So, and I'm going to show you here. So look here, this bit here. If you can see this, the revenue number is $2,459 a month in revenue, right? Now, this is monthly revenue. It's not yearly revenue. And look at this site. It's for sale. It's got 3 days to go, and it's $1,300. Now, I know for a fact that this website sold for about, sorry, I'm having a mental blank. It was either $3,200 or $2,300. I can't remember. So sorry about that. But it's got income of almost $2,500, and it sold for a number that's basically 100%. Like, and the reality is, what was it? Sorry, it was 3.4. Sorry, it was 3.4. And I'm sorry to beg. I've just got deals coming over the table and dealing with people all the time, and I forget sometimes, how much stuff sells for. But generally, what I tell people is to go for sites where you can get at least 100% return on your money. On some of these smaller sites like this, you can make your money back in 2 to 3 months. Now, and that's not a joke. We're literally looking at, we're literally looking at sites that you recover your money in 3 months. So it's really this simple. We look for the most active listings on Flipper. So please write that down, right? We look at what the income is, and in this instance, it's made $20,000 in 5 months and $5,000 in April, right? So fantastic returns. And at the moment, it's sitting at $1,300, and I know that it sold for about 3.5, something along those lines. So the other thing that we look for is the age of the site. This is just when we're trying to identify sites. We're not necessarily doing a full due diligence on them. We're just trying to identify where are the good opportunities and what's worthwhile looking at. And we might create a little list, and and write down the names of each of those sites in that list so that we end up with a kind of hot list of 5 or 10 sites, right? So that's what I want you to do. I want you to create a hot list of things that look good. So good traffic, good income, and the website, kind of have a look at the website, and if it looks kind of interesting, it looks like a decent sort of site, then put it on the list, okay?
Been around for a bit.
Yeah. And so in summary, we look for the most active, we identify the revenue, we identify the traffic, we check that it's been around for a while. It's really, really important, this part, right? You don't want to buy a site that's 3 months old, 6 months old, or just started yesterday, right? So don't look at sites that aren't earning any money and have all this promise of blue sky. Don't look at sites that have got hardly any revenue, right? Don't look at sites that haven't got any traffic. Don't look at sites that are very young, okay? I'm just going to let you write that down. So we want sites that have good revenue, that are getting good traffic, that have been around for a while, right? And look in the most active section to find them. So
Dennis is saying there's obviously a number of other sites that he knows about.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there, Dennis. Don't worry. We'll get there. In fact, we have a system within our academy that actually draws from 27 different sources. So, which is above and beyond. And I'm going to actually give you another 5 or 6 sites that you can go to, 4 or 5 sites that you can go to find deals as well. This is the main one, and this is the one we like to work with to cut our teeth on, because this is where there are some really good deals, and it's also where there are a whole bunch of scams going as well. And what we do is we try to teach you what to look for and what not, and what to avoid, right? That's the whole idea. And so far, I've got a really good track record with everyone. Our worst dud so far was giving a 30% return. So, and unfortunately, he was a little disappointed with that, but really, like 30% return, like you certainly make that at the moment. So, do you think you can do this? Does this look like something that you guys can do? I'm really interested to know whether. Why would they sell at that price? Craig, I'm going to answer that question in detail when we get to the Q&As, and there are a lot of real reasons why people do this. And in fact, right now, with one of my members, we're looking at a site in India, and I think my member is going to get it for about 40,000, and it's making $4,500 a month. And there's one main reason that we come across all the time, and I'll explain it to you at the end. So that's the basic steps of going out and sort of discovering, what we call the discovery process, of finding these websites, ones that are worth having a look at, right? And in the Intervestor, what we do is we kind of go a little bit deeper. We go into stuff about website basics and, what makes a site a good site, and what types of deals there are, and what types of sites there are. And we have a kind of systemized discovery process, and we look into growing markets and how to find domains and high value potential across multiple networks and all that sort of stuff. So, plus we have a suite of tools that I just mentioned before, 27 different sources, and they do simple deal analysis and stats and data and seller research and all that stuff. And the best thing about it is you get to look at a lot of different sources of websites, all from one location. So I'm going to move on to the statistics. So how big is digital real estate? And I don't want to bore you with a whole bunch of numbers, but it's really kind of interesting. Flipper alone averages around about $1 million plus per month in transactions, and with an average sale of around about $1,200. So the entry point for digital real estate is significantly lower than the entry point for real estate. I mean, you can't buy real estate for $1,200, right? But you can buy digital real estate for $1,200, and you can buy it for significantly less. Like if you're really tight, you can start with a couple $100, and many of our members have done that. Now, Flipper, to give you an idea, more than 100,000 websites are sold on Flipper over the last 4 years. And they're the ones that have sold, right? The some that have passed in that have then sold afterwards. And so I think that real number is actually probably double that. And to give you another idea, there's 48 billion web pages indexed by Google. 103 million websites alone were added in 2013. So that's almost 300,000 every day were created. So there's an enormous amount of websites being generated, and there's an enormous amount of websites being traded. To put this into perspective, I'm going to tell you how we pulled this from a Harvard study. I'm going to tell you there are only 500,000 homes were bought in the US last year. Right? And I'm using the US because it's a big market. It's, you know, what is it? How many people in the US? 300 million people. And so 500,000 houses were sold. And yet, maybe I haven't got the statistic in here now, but on the average day in 2013, 143,000 websites changed hands or were created, like domains were registered every single day, right? Average. So in 3 days, there were more websites bought or sold or created than there were homes bought in a year in the US. That gives you an idea of the size of the market. Now, everyone on this call would probably say, yeah, the US real estate market's one of the biggest markets in the world. Well, it pales into insignificance when you compare it to the number of websites that are being traded.
In other words, lots and
lots. It's like the Forex market. You know, the Forex market's outrageously huge. And this is amazingly just as big, I think. But the average investors are nowhere near it. And the reason for that is that there's a kind of a perceptual barrier for the average investor. And this is one of the reasons why I started the Intervestor, was to help people overcome that barrier and actually take advantage of what larger investors are doing right now. You know, and this is sort of going on behind the curtain kind of thing. Like there's a lot of smart money going in, buying websites and making a ton of money, you know, and it's all being done without the average investor knowing anything about it. You know, they're all still waving on real estate. If you're lucky, you're making a 5% return. Wow, how exciting. Excuse my skepticism, or my cynicism. So let's take a look at a few more statistics, and they are, by the end of this year, 40% of the world will be online. That's an enormous number of people, billions of people. Global e-commerce is more than $1.2 trillion in 2013. And Amazon sales grew 27.8 in 2013. So as you can see, the internet's growing fast. It's growing really fast. And while this is growing, what we're seeing in retail and traditional retailing is a massive decrease in the number of stores. And so, and I know these numbers are from 2011, probably a little bit exaggerated compared to now, although I really actually don't believe it's the case. I think there's more shops closing down than opening still. What these numbers is the physical shops throughout the world have been shutting down, downsizing, or moving online. And so while this is happening, you're also seeing the number of websites has tripled from 1.9 billion to 6.4 billion websites. And that's indicative of the fact that so many people are moving online to sell their wares, right? So what does all this mean for you? And honestly, I don't think you need to be a genius to figure it out. But in case you haven't, right, and no insult intended, but in case you haven't, it really means, and I hope you can see, that there are real opportunities right now with Intervesting. So would you like to hear from one of our Academy members? She was going to be on the call tonight, but it didn't work out. There's a couple other things came up. But what I do have is a testimonial from her. That she just sent me out of the blue, didn't ask for it or anything. She sent it to me the other day. So I'm just going to play this little video for you, and hopefully it'll sound all right. But there's also something that she wrote to me yesterday, because we're working on a deal with her at the moment. But I'll play the video.
Hi, Eric.
In the meantime.
I was just wanting to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for you producing your Intervestor program. It is by far the best internet program I've ever come across, And I'm happy to report that I've already bought 2 websites this week that are returning 70% plus return on my investment. So I'm happily looking forward to retiring in Costa Rica sooner rather than later. Thanks heaps, I really appreciate it.
Cool. So that's Bernie, right? And Bernie is Bernie's amazing. She's just awesome. She's been in the program for 8 weeks now. She, on the first Q&A call we did, and I'll explain what I mean by that a little later. On the first call that we did, she told me that she wanted to be in Costa Rica by the middle of next year. And she runs a business like a homeopathic consultancy service. And she's a doctor just there, and she wants out basically. And so she's been in the program for 8 weeks now. She bought her first site 2 to 3 weeks ago, I think it was. So within a month, she'd already bought her first site. Her and her son are working together, and he's actually getting on a flight on Wednesday to fly to India to buy their next website, which I love the fact that he's getting on the plane to do it.
He's going to go meet the guy.
He's going to go and meet the guy because this particular guy is not only they're going to buy this site, but I think they're going to invest in his next venture. But with this next website purchase, we do a one-on-one call when we start in the program, right? And she told me what number she wanted to reach by the middle of next year. Now, when they complete this deal, and I believe that they'll have it completed by the end of next weekend, they will already be 50% of the way to that number.
Wow.
And it's only been, well, it'll have been 8 or 9 weeks. So, and the number that she's trying to hit is just, you know, it's a substantial sum of money. And certainly it's more than she's been making for the last 10, 15, however many years she's been in that practice, in her alternative medicine practice. So, it's a shame she's not on the call tonight, but she's an example, and she's not an extraordinary example. She's an example of somebody who who gets into investing, takes the bull by the horns, and actually does it, you know? And probably the biggest hurdle that I have with the work that I do with the students is actually them to take action. And this is not an unusual thing, you know? Yeah. This is everybody who teaches anything will tell you that the toughest part is actually getting everybody to take action. So, and I hope you've had time to read this little bit here at the bottom here. It's really been life-changing for them. And she actually managed to get me to tear up last night. I was so touched by what she said. It was really beautiful. Okay, so do you want to see some more? And okay. Oh, Adam's on the call. Cool. Yeah. Hey, Adam, how are you? You haven't been on my Q&As. Where are you, mate?
He's coming over to Bali and
yeah, get on the Q&As, will you? We're doing them Tuesday nights. Okay? I can't help you if you don't come to the Q&As. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a bunch of niches. And these are the 6 areas that are hot. So these are places where there's a lot of heat at the moment, right? So can you guys just kind of give me an idea of what you think is hot online right now? And because I'm always really interested to see this. I'm always intrigued to see what it is everybody thinks is good. And no peeking on the side here, okay? I'm gonna move this over so you can't see it. There you go. Oh, maybe you can still see it. I don't know.
No, I can't see it.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
It's a bit blurry. Okay, so
I'm not a type of beer. the connection or no sound.
Cool.
We're recording all of this, everyone. Okay. If you're having trouble with it, just let me know when it's bad. And I'll just pause what I'm doing. Yeah, but maybe leave your headphone on so I've got an idea, because I don't want people to miss out on the good info. Okay, so we'll just keep forging ahead. The number one thing is learning how to play a musical instrument. So if you come across websites that are teaching people how to play instruments, right? These are very popular sites, and it's a lot. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of heat on this area. The next one is education. Programs like mine and other informational programs that are very popular and definitely worth a look at. Weight loss. Now, I mean, I know it's it's a perennial thing. It just keeps going on. People eat too much, and then they need to lose some weight. So the people from website broker.com think this will grow even further this year as people could become more health conscious. Okay, I will continue to talk. A lag is probably okay. Yeah, a lag is probably okay. It's if you cannot hear me, it's a problem. Okay, so dating is the next one. And Dr. Phil's ever-present advice is where we kind of get that from. Dating is huge, and we come across dating and dating-related sites all the time, actually. And there's some of the best ones, actually. And in fact, we're looking at one right now. It's a fairly substantial site. It's making $20,000 a month, and it's a fantastic site. And gardening.
We've got all those gardening shows on television.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
They know how to pick them.
And like gardening, the internet and the opportunities on the internet are growing and continue to grow.
Food, yes. That would definitely be up there, right?
Yeah. So what's number 6? Because I did say there were 6. And the reality, it's pretty much any niche you can think of, because virtually every niche online is growing. Now, we did a little bit of a workshop today to try and figure out which bits weren't, right? What wasn't working. And it was actually one of the funniest 20 minutes I've spent in the last couple of weeks. But we did come up with a couple of options that we think probably won't do so well. And so I wanted to share them with you, just in case you thought you might go into these niches. I'm going to say to you, avoid them. Okay? So the first one is spray on hair. I want you to stay away from spray on hair, right?
I think that fad has gone.
I don't know. I don't know. And then the other one I want you to stay away from is, and I've forgotten the name of this one. It was
privacy viewer.
Personal computer viewer.
It's a privacy viewer.
Yeah. So I don't think you're going to do too well with either of these. So try and stay away from. Okay. Okay, so let's keep going with the real training, and here's the next step and something that you can do right now. So the next phase is really about evaluation. It's all well and good to find websites that look good, but what we need to do is really check, and we'll see whether they really are doing what they say they're doing, and whether they're the real deal. So the key things in step 2. And the 5 elements that you need to really focus on is look at the traffic and confirm it on an outside source. And one of the simplest sites and ways that you can do this is using this website here, websiteoutlook.com. That will give you basic page view numbers, right? But it's a completely external third-party source. And so if it lines up, and when I say line up, it doesn't have to be exactly exactly the same number, because every system evaluates traffic in different ways. But within 10, 15%, if there's a stark difference, and particularly like things like if the seller is saying that most of their business comes from the US, and then you have a look at Website Outlook and you see that 80% of their traffic is from India, and 20% of their traffic is from the US, but the seller is saying 60% of their sales come from the US, and 10% from here. If properly, you go no. Second, I'm gonna leave. I'm waiting. Okay. All right, cool. I love the fact that I've got this stop go thing going on. So one of the great things about Flipper is that it actually brings in what we call verified Google Analytics, and and Flipper actually verifies that traffic. So any site that's listed in Flipper that has verified Google traffic or Google Analytics, you can be certain that that traffic is real and it's verified. Okay. So it's a real time saver, that. And Flipper tried very, very hard to make sure that anything that's being sold on their site is kosher and is real and is a good site. But they can't cover everything off. So we do need to make sure that we do our part. So they've got, verified analytics here. Also, I want you to notice that this particular site, you can see there are some substantial bumps and humps here. But generally speaking, the traffic is fairly even, right? Now, it's even better if it's going evenly up, right? But evenly steady is okay too, right? As long as you're not seeing an even down trend.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, would it be? That might be some signs that you could add some value.
Well, when it's steady, right, that means that there is probably some opportunities. But the thing is, what I want you to focus on, right, and I tell this to all my students, what I want you to really focus on is not looking for sites to fix up. You want to find sites that are already doing really well, okay? And the less you have to do to fix them up, the better, okay? It's a completely different mindset to normal investing, okay? So it's really important, this, okay? So, check the traffic. The next thing we look at is, how has this site been used in the past? There's a wonderful website called archive.org, and you go to that and you drop, it's called the Wayback Machine, but it's got a different URL, and you drop the domain name into this panel here and click the Take Me Back button, and it'll show you, it brings up a list of what the site looked like over the years and what it's been doing. Sometimes you'll find that a site that you're interested in, it may have changed very recently. It might have been around for years, but its current use may only be a year old. Now that's, in my mind, that's the same as the site only being a year old, right? Or it may have only changed 6 months ago. That's the same as the site only being 6 months old.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, it might have been a porn site or some horrible thing before that, and it's been blacklisted all over the place, and the guy who's selling it is just, fudged the numbers somehow. So these are the sorts of things you want to look out for in terms of evaluating its history, You don't want a site that's only just recently come into its most current incarnation, because you may as well just be buying a young site. So we want sites that have been doing the same thing for quite a while, okay? I'm teaching them everything tonight, aren't I?
You want to answer the question from Real, so it's asking about staff and what level of work and maintenance is required. So I know that you're going to answer this.
Okay, I'm going to get to this. If you just give me a second, or not a second, give me 20 minutes, half an hour, and I'll get there. Okay, so the other thing you want to check is that the people that are listing it actually are the owners. Now, the great thing again about Flipper is that they do ask the seller to upload a file to confirm the ownership, right? But otherwise, you can look it up on Whois, and it's whois.sc, and click lookup. Put in the domain again, click lookup, and it'll come back with all the details about the ownership. Okay, because sometimes you will find that somebody's trying to sell something they don't actually own. It's rare, but it can happen. Now, I'm going to tell you that this is probably to verify the income. Now, Screenshots are great, but it's too easy to fudge them. It's too easy to cheat, right? So what we always try to do is we always try to get visual earning proof, video proof. So ideally, you get on a Skype call with them, and they actually take you through the process of logging into their back end or their bank account or whatever, and show you the income and show you the flow of the income through the different, however it's coming through. But worst case scenario is that they pre-record it and they give you access to it. And they may want to, it may be that they have to do that because they're showing an account number that they really don't want to share with anybody, or, you know, something along those lines. But video proof is the very minimum that you want, right? Best case scenario, if it's a really big deal that you're doing, you jump on a plane, you go, right?
Yeah.
And that's what Nick's doing, you know, next Wednesday. And then what do we hear? You can check the content. So there's a few things that we want to look for in content. So I hope everyone's clear on the income thing. It's really, really important. You don't want to skip that step for any reason at all, right? And if they're trying to talk you out of it, move on to another site. You don't want to do business with someone who will not do this for you, okay? So the next thing we check is the content. We want to make sure that it's original, and we want to make sure that it's not just copied from another site, or they've built 20 other sites with slightly different URLs, like slightly different names, and it's just a carbon copy, you know? So we can do this a couple of different ways. We can go to Copyscape, right? It's a fantastic website that you can put in a URL and it'll just basically come back and tell you if there are any other websites that have the same content on them. But again, in Flipper, you have the capacity to check directly through the Flipper site to see if there's any copies of that particular site that you're looking at. Also, like in our system, we actually go into a fair amount more information about how to evaluate. And so we kind of look at big picture evaluation, and we look at simple front end and back end analysis, right? And I teach I teach how to analyze a site, you know, really thoroughly, but very simply. We have a whole bunch of due diligence tools within our toolbox that I showed you before that actually go into detail. And we also have been running a transactional database for the last 3.5 years that show every website that's sold on one of these sales networks, and it actually gives the buyer feedback for those website sales. That's awesome. So it's a really powerful tool. And this is kind of this is a screenshot of what our back end looks like in the toolbox. This is in the academy. So we actually have websites for sale, and we show brokered listings. And there's a lot of the higher end sites are in the brokered listings. We actually show domains for sale, and we also have now started adding mobile apps for sale. And it's a really, really hot area where there's lots and lots of opportunity. So, there's some of the enhancements that we give over and above what I'm teaching you here today. But believe me, what I'm teaching you here today will give you everything that you need to get started, right? To figure out whether this is something that is a fit for you, and whether it's, it kind of spins your dials. Like for me, investing is really fun. I love doing it, and all of my students are now getting into that space. And I'm hoping Adam, if he starts turning up at the Q&A calls,
he's back.
will actually start getting the infection, because it's really, really fun. Like it's a blast, actually.
It's so great because there's so many different ways of doing it. There's so many strategies that you can do it, and it can fit with whatever you're doing. If you want to add it to your business,
augment to your business, do it as a standalone thing. There's a lot of ways you can approach this.
So good.
So now I'm going to ask you guys, did you ever wish that you got in on the Google launch or the Amazon launch or the LinkedIn launch, and any of those things kind of, and I really want some responses.
Bought some shares or something like that.
Would you wish you'd bought Google shares when they were first starting,
So pop something in the Q&A.
Yeah. And while you're doing that,
no, thanks. Dennis,
yes, Dennis, you're right. And I'll tell you why. So don't beat yourself up just yet, because I've got something amazing to show you. There are better opportunities, right? So if you had been invested in one of these, if you'd put $1,000 into either LinkedIn, AOL, Amazon, Google, these are the sorts of returns that you could expect. And really the only one there that's even vaguely worthwhile are AOL and Google, returning $46.88 and $44.26 for every $1,000 you invested.
That's
A
annual.
4.4 and 4.6% return annually. Wow.
Yeah.
If you had bought a site on Flipper, this is the average revenue generating site, the average return that you would expect to get from a revenue generating site on Flipper. $881 for every $1,000 you invest.
A little bit higher than your 70%.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? They put this stat out about a year and a half ago. It's come down a little bit, and I believe it will continue to come down until it matures like other investment opportunities. But what we have right now is a window of opportunity, right? Where the early adopters, the people that jump in and get good at this now, right, will really do well over the next few years. And by the time the mainstream public get into this, it won't be a game over. It'll still be like real estate. There'll still probably be another 10 or 15 years where you can really do well with it, and then you'll continue to do well if you're really smart at it. But the really easy pickings will be over, right? And it's just internet marketing is like that right now. The easy pickings are over. The guys like Frank Kern who, you know, had this idea, I'll just put one of these offers straight into Google's PPC advertising and overnight makes $50,000. That ain't going to happen anymore. Anyone who thinks that they're going to do really well at internet marketing, think again, because that market is well established. The big players are in. They know what they're doing. They're really good at it. They've got millions and millions of people on their email lists, and they're controlling that market, right? But with Intervesting, we're here right now. We're right at the ground floor. We're doing this, and this is where the opportunity is. And those that get in early are going to be the ones that are later dominating the market. Right? So this is what's really what Intervesting is all about. And the fact is that over the last few years, I did it and I got really good at it. And then I started thinking, okay, well, I want to share this. I want a network of people that are doing this, because to be honest, I kind of got a bit lonely in it, you know, like it was fun and I was like, yay, I'm making all this money, but it's really not about making money. And when I was in Fiji, I really learned that about myself. When I went to Fiji, I created a website. I created a business that made really good money. We were making $1 million a year, right? But when it came down to it, it didn't really matter how much we were making. What spun my dials the most, what really gave me the most satisfaction was that, you know, we built schools and we set up medical facilities. And I know the things that I did there saved the lives of children, right? Because the mortality rate on infants went down in our region as a result of us starting that business. And, you know, the kids were better educated. We set up all sorts of educational programs. We had people coming in and lecturing from overseas, and we had doctors coming in and doing stuff from the big city Suva, which wasn't that far away. And this was the irony. We were like an hour's drive out of Suva, and kids were dying from diarrhea, you know, look, completely ridiculous. And so what spun my dials the most was really helping people and changing their lives. And that's why I actually am doing Intervesting right now. Well, why I'm teaching Intervesting right now, because I can just keep making money. I don't need to teach it in order to make a living. So here's an example of one of our earlier members. His name is Tommy Freeman. He's actually since become a minor shareholder in Intervesting. He badgered the daylights out of me. It was on me all the time, and eventually I just went, all right, okay, you can buy a bit of it. Anyhow, so his first website, the first one he ever bought, he paid $760 for it. You can see it here. And I think he sent me this message 3 weeks after he bought it, and he'd already turned over $700 in 21 days. Now, I know for a fact, and because we did a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and he actually was on the webinar, because a few members like to jump on the webinar, hey? I don't know why, but it's nice. I like having them here. But he jumped on, and I thought he'd earned $9,000 a year out of this site since he bought it about 2 years ago, but it turned out that he'd been earning $10,000 a year out of this site. So he'd invested $760 and it's made him $10,000 a year. And it's been about 2 years now, maybe a little bit longer. So he's made $20,000 out of a $760 website, you know. And I have to admit, right, this is a pretty extraordinary circumstance, and I'm not going to tell you guys that, you know, every one of you can do this, but it's possible. But the reality is, we're going to be finding sites more along the lines of earning 50 to 70%. There might be 100. You might be lucky and find one that's making 200 or 300%. The cheaper they are, the better the yields, but the trickier it is to buy the good ones. And you know, yeah, there's as much work in running a $700 site as there is running a $10,000 site. Yeah. And so I know which one I'd rather own. But albeit if you can't afford to buy a $10,000 site, then you start with a $700 site and you build up from there.
And if you want to cut the teeth on it, then what a great way to do it, low risk.
Well, actually, and here's another gem of advice that I'm going to give you, right? And I normally reserve this only for my members, and that is start small. Learn how to do this with a site with an amount of money that doesn't matter to you. Remove the anxiety of whether it's going to work or not from your whole sphere of thinking, right? And buy something that it doesn't matter whether you don't make a cent out of it or not. Cut teeth on that, because what will happen is that you'll be more focused on the process and less focused on whether you make money or not, and you'll do a better deal, right? And then once you've done that, you just work up slowly. Do a couple of those, do 3. But don't bite off more than you feel comfortable chewing, essentially. So if all that Intervesting ever did for you was to give you one deal like Tommy's, would it be worth it? Answer, please. I'd like to know what you think, because I want to know you're actually not. I'm not putting you guys to sleep.
It's enough for us to sleep, Eric. Well, drop some comments in the Q&A. Let us know you're still there.
Also want to know. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Dennis.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, did Bernie say anything in the testimony? She's about the least technological person you've ever come across, right? And every day, without fail, because she's actually gone right to almost to the top of our program, and we have a few different membership levels. And almost every day she says to me, you know, I don't know anything about this. All I know is it's making me money, right? And God bless her soul, you know, she's just dived into it and she's not been too scared to go and have a crack at it.
Well, she has you next to Eric. So,
yeah.
Why not?
So you literally can do this if all you can do is send an email, right? And I'm really not joking about this. I know it sounds like hype, but it really, you don't need to have the technical expertise, and I'm about to explain to you why. But before I do, I'm going to say you can also do it from anywhere. And I was actually on my phone. This is me on top of Mount Gong. I took that photo, and she's smiling away at me as I say that. But halfway down the hill, I snuck the phone on and I checked a couple of emails, and mind you, I nearly fell over in the process because my legs were so big. It's like 2 kilometers straight up. Hardcore. You started in the middle of the night. And here's another example. Steve McKinley, one of my early members. His first website, he made $3,288.53 in the first month. That site actually returns on average about 38%. So it's not one of the better performing ones, but a 38% return is still extraordinary by any investor's standard. And he literally hardly does any work. I actually manage it and I hardly do any work on that site. So if you remember earlier, I told you I was going to give you our formula. Well, this is what I'm going to do it right now. So it's very, very simple. These are the 8 key steps to Intervesting. Step 1, you find an existing, well-established and operating website. And if you can't find that, go back and do it again until you do find one, right? Then the next step is to do your due diligence to verify the details and make sure that it meets our criteria. And I went through those criteria with you. Then the next step is to negotiate its purchase and see that you're, basically, are you able to buy it at the right price? Right? And really, it's important. Getting it for the right price is really the key to how successful you can. One of the 8 keys, in fact.
Well, the mental mindset is you make your profit in the purchase. And this is exactly the same here, isn't it?
Yep, profit is in the purchase. So then the next step, and at any point, if you say no to any of these, go back to step 1, right? There are lots and lots of websites out there. You do not need to buy one that's not so good, right? You do not, just write that down, please. You do not need to buy a website that is not so good. You only want to buy websites that are exceptionally good, right? So we then, once we've established we can get it at the right price, we do quick analysis we analyze its potential, look at its time demands, and this is a really important part. We don't want to buy a bunch of sites that take up a lot of time, and you can buy them, right? We can buy websites that are just like real world businesses where you spend 80 hours a week and you're basically buying a job, No. Websites are different, and we avoid those ones that are intensive in terms of time demands, because we want to buy businesses that require as little work as possible, but it's still highly profitable, and they're out there. There's lots of them, right? Lots and lots and lots of them. So we want to check its profitability and make sure that it meets all of our criteria there. And if it does, we go ahead and we buy it. Now, we transfer it, we host it, and we promote it. Those 3 things, you're probably going, oh, he makes it sound so simple. Transfer it, host it, and promote it, right? It is. Give me a minute and I'll explain, right? Because that's the next thing I'm going to teach you, right? But just trust me when I say we buy it, transfer it, host it, and promote it, and it's just 1 step, okay? And then the next step after that is we earn good money from it. In fact, we earn amazing returns, and especially when we get the first 5 things right. We then go on and we identify and implement ways to get it to make even more. And although I said to you, don't worry about the blue sky, I want you to not worry about the blue sky when you're buying it. Make sure you buy a site that's already doing well. But once you've bought it, then we start to look at ways that we can make it better. Okay? These questions. Okay, I will get to the question about what motivates people to sell, and it's coming up really soon. And so once you've identified ways to get it making more money, and for instance, Bernie and Nick are doing that right now with the last site that they bought, and already it's up 20%. Then we basically rinse and repeat. And any of the ones that we've bought that are not performing so well, like you might buy a few and you've got one that's making 40%, one that's making 50%. Then you buy a string of them that are doing better than 50%. You know what? You might turn around and go, I'm going to let that 40% one go, and I'm going to turn that back into another site. And so that's where the flipping part comes in. But it's not our practice, right? As an investor, we're not buying to sell. We are buying to hold. We're buying for income. We're buying for regular, clear, clean income that we can build on. And if you choose to actually come and work with us and join our program, we go into a lot of detail about how to maximize and leverage that so that we can grow our income dramatically, right? So they're the 8 steps, right? There's kind of a 9th one there, but it's a side step. And I hope you've had time, like I've talked slowly through this section because I wanted to give you time to write this down. Now, because I really want to make sure that we get all the training done before we're too far into this, and we're already an hour in, I want to go to step 3, and this is how to set up the deal, right? So go into Flipper, register as a buyer, fill out all the verified steps, right? The verification steps, and make sure that you do all of them, because you want the seller as much as you want to trust the seller as a seller, right? And if they can confirm for sure that you're real, and all of that sort of stuff, and you've done there's a little bank account transaction thing that that Flipper does, and it says that you're a verified buyer. Do all of that, and they'll feel more comfortable with you. Right? Once you've signed up and you've gone through all that process, and I'm not going to explain every step because it's all there, step by step. You know, you can do it very easily. Once you've done that, then you can actually place a bid. Right? Now, within our Intervestor program, we actually go into quite a bit more detail about that. We talk about buying emotions and when to pull out. And really, I'll give you a little hint on this one. Right? The best time to pull out is when you have any kind of bad feeling about a deal. Anything that you go, ooh, that doesn't quite seem right. That doesn't feel right. Right? That's when you don't go ahead. We also talk about how to purchase below market value. There's some clear strategies that you can use where you can get sites at less than what they're really worth. Basic acquisition steps, we go into a fair bit of detail on that, and how to sell for a quick profit, and the best ways to position your website to sell it at the highest possible thing. And we also talk about deal funding. So that's some of the stuff that we do in there. Yeah. Also within our systems, we've got what we call the document library, and there's a whole string of all sorts of documents, from purchase agreements to hiring outsourced help and that sort of thing. So that's step 3. Now step 4 is improving your asset value. So it's driving traffic and doing SEO and loads of other stuff. If you're not technical, it's totally okay. You do not need to be technical to do this. You just need to know what questions to ask in order to get the people that are technical to do it for you. So if you've gone ahead and you bought a site and you need to do some SEO, yes, you can get totally bogged down and learn how to do SEO and go out and do it. Or you can go to, you can plug in SEO service providers in Google and get a whole big list of them, and then just go through them. And I'll tell you, with SEO, it's really simple, right? And I tell this to all my students, there's a really, really simple way to learn how to do SEO, right? You go to go to Google, search a bunch, go to them, send them a message and say, can you give me some details? I want to know how many of your clients are on the first page of Google, right? and if they come back and say, oh yeah, we've got a bunch of them, then ask them if you can get in contact with some of their clients, right? And that this is what you need in order to become a client of theirs. You want to know that that they're helping other people, right? So if I keep looking away, I've got people around the table, so it's kind of weird looking at this little camera, but it's really easy to look at other people. I'm getting into trouble for looking at other people. And if they come back and say to you, oh, no, we haven't got anybody on the first page of Google, but we do this, that, move on. Look for the people that are actually providing success and then work with them, okay? We have actually, this one here, Bugwas Marketing, we have set up a website where we actually give our preferred suppliers, the people that we work with a lot, and we've listed their services on this site, and by all means, you're welcome to use that. The other fantastic place to go is a site called Fiverr. And now this is a veritable gold mine, and this will give you, no matter what you want to get done, go to Fiverr and see if you can get it done there, because there are some amazing people offering amazing work for $5. Now, not all the services on Fiverr are $5. Some of them are $55, but honestly, you'll be astonished at how cheaply you can get a whole lot of things done. Right? Now, to give you an idea, we offer a done-for-you service where you transfer sites and everything. We charge $250 for that because we do a report and I check it myself and blah blah blah. But you can actually go to Fiverr and get somebody to transfer your site for $50, or sometimes less than that. So, if they outstrip my capacity to provide the service cheaply. And I'm happy for you guys to know about this and be able to use this. It will save you. You don't need to know how to transfer the site. You don't need to know how to host it. You don't need to know any of these things. All you need to know is how to type fiverr.com into a URL and look for somebody who does know how to do these things and pay them $5 to do it, or $25 to do it, whatever the number will be. All right? So don't worry about the technical stuff. There are thousands, millions of people out there that can do it all for you. So that's moving on to outsourcing. And if you can't find somebody good at Fiverr, the next option, or sometimes the first option, is Odesk. Odesk is, again, it's like a freelancer. There's a bunch of sites like this. I'm just giving you the ones that I believe are good, right? And maybe some of you guys here are using Freelancer or Elance or all of those other ones. But I found, having used a bunch of them over the years, that Odesk and Fiverr are by far and away the best ones for me. And the thing I love about Odesk is that you can it actually takes screen grabs of your outsourced workers' desktop, so you can track what they're doing. There are many places, also many places, sites online for finding outsourced help. Yeah, that's right. There are lots and lots of them. I'm just giving you the ones that, I'm giving you the benefit of my years and years and years of doing this, right? And that's really the Intervestor, and the Intervestor Academy is all about giving you the best possible information that we can give you. And, I don't have an affiliate relationship or referral code with Odesk. Mind you, I probably would make thousands of dollars if I did, and the guys are kind of going, oh, duh, why haven't you been? But it's not always about that for me. Like, there's some things that there may be some referrals, but just generally speaking, I want you to make some money, and I'm not about trying to skin you wherever I can. So, and I'm giving this information to you free here right now. You see, there's no affiliate link here. It's odesk.com. Go there and get what you need. Right? So you don't need to have any technical skills at all, and outsourcing is how you deal with the lack of technical skills you have. Right? So to find your expert, and you can do it for free. To find them, of course, you've got to pay them to do the work, but you can find them for free, and you just literally sign up with Odesk or with Fiverr, and then you either, with Fiverr, you simply go and look for somebody who's offering a particular service. Odesk is a little bit more personalized, because you can actually, once you've created your free account, you can actually post a job, and you can be very specific about what it is that you want. I want to transfer a WordPress site to this hosting service provider or whatever, the exact details. And what will happen is you get a whole bunch of people will come back and offer to do the job for you, and they'll either offer an hourly rate or they'll offer like a one-time price for the thing, and then you can just pick and choose.
And it's nuts. It's like a few dollars an hour.
And you'll be amazed. You'll get really good technical guys, like PHP programmers from America, that will charge you $7 to $15 an hour. Yeah. And most of us think, oh God, he's a programmer. It's going to cost $50 an hour, and you'll have 3 listings, right? And one will say $15 an hour, and it'll be an American programmer, and then the next one will be like some guy from India who's offering the exact same service for $30 an hour, and then below that will be some guy from the US again or from Canada who's offering it for $100 an hour, and it's like none of them can see what each other is offering, right? And you in the driver's seat, you get to pick and choose which is the best. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps you. Like, I'm trying to give you some really valuable information. In our system, we actually go into how to leverage, so the ultimate profit formula, how to make the most money out of your websites, and simple steps to increase the value. We go into a whole lot of stuff about selling for maximum profit and deal flipping, which is kind of the same thing, but not always, because there's other things that you can sell besides the exact site that you've bought, which aren't actually selling the products that are on the site. And John's looking at me going, "Ooh, that's a bit unusual." And then also we go into automation a lot, and it's really important. The more you automate the site, the cheaper it is to run it. And we talk about duplication, amongst a whole bunch of other things, right? We also have communities that are Facebook page. We were working with forums, and we found they just weren't interactive enough. And so we have these these sort of communities, groups, Facebook groups, and we find they're really useful, and it's just a great way to stay in contact with each other, because all of us are on Facebook so much. The odd person here and there isn't, but most of us are. So, finding more cash-generating digital property. Would you like me to show you a few more websites? And I know this was one of the questions, and there's been a few comments around this. Here's a list of a few others: websiteproperties.com, websitebroker.com, Craigslist. Yes, Craigslist. and eBay, even eBay. I've actually found quite a few good sites on eBay.
Wow.
So in the Intervestor, we have 27 different places that we draw websites from and opportunities from. So, okay, so can you see how powerful this strategy is? I mean, I've now given you the bulk of the information that I can give you today. And really, everything that I've taught you today is enough to actually go and do this, right? And so I wanted to make sure that you got a real good feel for it and how to do this. And I hope you've enjoyed this and it's been useful for you. The success of our Foundation Academy members, and we use these people as guinea pigs, really. We experimented on them. It was almost we may end up in the international courts for this, but we experimented on them, and these are the guys that helped us to actually make our systems and our courses and the various tools and resources and services that we provide so good and as good as they are today. But even they had fantastic results. Here's Mike, who, he says, I acquired a proven revenue generating website that will provide me passive income for years to come. I've since gained more confidence about the process of buying profitable websites, and I'm now looking for my next deal. Now, Mike was a classic. It took him about 3 months, and he had 1,000 questions. He questioned everything. He was such an analytical mind, analyzing this and analyzing that, and and it was such a big deal. And he was the guy that taught me, buy something that doesn't matter how much it makes, right? He was the guy who taught me that lesson. And that lesson has helped so many people since him, right? And it actually helped him, because finally, after months of him going, oh, what do I do? What do I do? I'm so scared to do this. I just went, go and buy something that's hardly got any value and at least get in, and he did it. And then the second one he bought was this one that he's talking about now. And he's since gone on and bought a bunch of sites. Lucinda was the exact opposite. Lucinda, she bought her first website on this webinar, right in the middle of the webinar. And she's come back and through the Q&A and gone, guess what? I just bought a site. Well, within 3 months, she bought 7 sites, and she was actually 1 month away from reaching her income targets with it, and she was 1 month away from actually breaking even. And so that was within 4 months, she was already in profit. Oh no, sorry, in 3 months. I'm trying to soften the blow. She had 7 sites, and in 3 months she was already in profit. And she's a powerhouse. We've got members that kind of are everywhere in between those two. Ones that just dive in and go for it, and other ones that are really intrepid and careful. But you know what? Eventually, everyone does it. Okay, so what I'd like to know is if you just give me the chance to show you the rest of the package and the whole package, everything that we offer. And if you feel you want to do it on your own, you can go now. You've got everything you need to get started. But if you'd like to see some of the other stuff that we do and how we help you, then I'm going to go on and show you some of that. And it's only a little bit longer, maybe another 5 minutes, and then after that, I'll answer all of your questions.
Wonderful.
Okay, so it's what we package up is a thing called the Inner Circle, and it's the 5 easy steps, and I've basically shown you those steps now, but we go into a more detail, and we kind of present it in a beautiful, simplified, and very straightforward and well organized way. And so those 5 steps are finding the deal, evaluating the deal, doing the deal, growing or keeping the deal, and minding your business. And I didn't really talk about minding your business, and that's really more about how you structure yourself going forward as a real business entity. This is, some people it's a hobby, but for some people it's real business, and they treat it very seriously. I think I mentioned the document library and the interactive communities. Well, one thing I haven't mentioned so far is that we also provide you access to the Q&A webinars. Now, and I've kind of mentioned them around Adam, because he hasn't been turning up. But Q&A is where all the juicy stuff happens. And you know, you get into these website, these online programs, and you know, there's all the hype and, you know, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. And you get in there and you realize that you basically have to work it all out yourself.
Yep.
Well, this is one of the main things that I really wanted to avoid. And the main reasons why we have so much success, or the members of the Intervestor Academy have so much success, is because I get on a call, a live call, just like this one, except you get to talk back to me. And we answer questions. So we go into detail about the course, and I make sure that you really understand and get to ask your questions and have them answered. And I think you probably saw back before, you know, Bernie's comments about the Q&A, you know, where she's saying it really made a massive difference, and it really does. It makes a big, big difference. And why is it so important, these Q&As? And I'm going to tell you a secret, and I've gotten into trouble for sharing this. The industry average for people taking action and actually using online money-making systems is a tiny 2%. That means that 98 out of 100 people don't actually take action and don't make any money. And at the Intervestor, more than 40% of our inner circle members take action and buy one or more profitable sites. Now, you might be saying, oh, 40% isn't very much, but actually we also have our investment systems and our investment fund, and a lot of the others actually invest that way. They don't do it themselves. And so our actual numbers of people that actually have success with the system is significantly higher than 40%. But even at 40%, we're 38% better than most other systems out there. And sorry, you're going to say?
Well, you're actually getting straight to that. A part of it that I wanted to say is that, number one, people see the success of other people actually on the call.
Encourages them. It definitely encourages them. And so, you know, when you know that the person on the seat next to you is doing really well, it gives you a chance. And, you know, and I really, like, I understand some people can't start straight away. Some people are busy with things. Some people haven't got as much time as others. And some people, it takes them a few months to get going. Other people, they're already up and running in 3 weeks. Some people buy a site in the webinar, you know. It's all different, but we try to accommodate that as much as possible. And you learn a lot on the Q&As. And the reason people have so much success is because we do give you live, regular access, right? And we really want you to make money. I want you to make money. I want you to be successful, because when you're successful, we are too. The better you do, the better I do, right? Simple as that. And so we'll do everything that we can to give you all the tools that you need to be the biggest success that you can be. Okay? So I won't gas bag on too much about that. Too much more about it, but why would you invest in something that, you know, that only gives you a 2% chance of succeeding? And if you're still not sure, listen to what Keith has to say. Now, Keith was probably my most skeptical of all, and I'm actually amazed he even bought it, right? And he gave me so much grief. But this is what he thought about it. You know, Intervestor is one of the best finds of the year. Once he got going, it totally changed that, and it was actually pretty quick. It blows away other returns of typical investing. And I've been through the first 3 modules of the program, and it just keeps getting better. I know very little about the internet and nothing about websites. And if I can understand this stuff, anyone can. And honest to God, he's so correct in that. And it's all inclusive and very easy to follow. Eric Roberts and the Intervestor team have been open, enthusiastic, and responsive. And I'm really glad I didn't pass this one up. It's sort of weird me reading these things out, isn't it?
Well, it's of course, it's obviously a reflection of the value that you offer.
Yeah.
Very clearly.
Yeah, thank you. So the Intervestor Toolbox, I'm going to show you what it looks like. We've read all this stuff before. So we saw this one as mobile apps. So as you go in, you know, click on one of these and it takes you in, and you start to see, you see the age straight away, you see the profit, you see the revenue, you see how many visitors, you see the RPU, which is the return per user. And you see when it was listed, how long it's got to go, search scores, and all this sort of stuff. So it gives you, and as you go further in, I'll show you the next one. And this is just the top part of it. It gives you all sorts of details about the listing. So the domain, search and visitors, financial, on-site, community discussions, related listings, and all of that sort of stuff. So this page goes down and down and down and down and down. And this is part of our tool suite, and it really gives you an extraordinary amount of information, and from so many different sources. So, you know, you get the Cash Flow Academy, you get the Intervestor Document Library, ongoing weekly Q&As, my Intervestor and the Investor Toolbox. And here's where we get to the thing. And, you know, I think other people carry on about this. We think it's worth this, but we're only going to charge you that. I'm not doing any of that stuff today because I just want to tell you this is what we charge for it, okay? And I believe it's extremely good value. It's $19.95 a year or $199 a month. And John, you've obviously got something you want to say about this.
Well, first of all, Eric, number one, I want to thank you for making a better offer than people could afford it to me directly. So thank you for that. Yeah. Secondly, you know, without having to say what you probably don't feel comfortable saying, the big thing here really is that you have Eric on your team. You know, you've got someone who's been doing this for so long, has learned the lessons, and gone through the school of hard knocks, haven't you? You didn't get successful in
still learn stuff. I still learn stuff.
So yeah, you bring all that experience in. So it's that's why people are so successful. That's why you get the 40% and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, oops. Oh, there's my wife. There she is. Okay, so we have a money back guarantee. If you don't like it, 30 days, in the first 30 days, you can just get your money back. Okay, so there's no risk. It all comes down to whether you think this is worth your while, and it's the sort of thing that spins your dials, you know. And it's either a good fit or not a good fit. And either way, I don't mind. I'm here to help people that really want to succeed. And if you're not sure, then actually I prefer you didn't get involved. And I'm actually pretty selective about the type of people I want in the membership. And if you're kind of a bit indecisive or you're not sure about this, it's probably better you don't, because we're forging ahead and we're being successful, and I want to work with people that are really into doing that, right? And also, if you're down to your last dollars, don't purchase this program. It's not a panacea. It's not a golden pill. It's it's not gonna. It's a legitimate business, right? And it actually takes work and it takes some investment. So yeah, don't think that you can. Yes, you can start with small amounts of money, but don't do this if you're really stuck. Like go and find a friend to help you out or do something. If you're really stuck. Yeah. So with every ounce of reason within you, don't expect this to be some kind of a magic pill. You've got to commit to a process with this. And although I've made it as easy as I can, it's still a process.
And with all of this, no matter how interested you are, we're going to have somebody speak to you and make sure that there's a fit. That you don't come to and just jump into this. We want to make sure we have exactly that, the right people, and we'll be chatting to you about that and making sure and checking where you're at and how this actually fits into your life and your business.
Oh, you should see, he looks so sincere when he says that.
Well, I am. This is the part that my guys really love to do, because we chat to people, we find out what they're up to, and we see how this actually fits into their life.
Yeah.
We speak to them, we see what businesses they have, we see what kind of way this can actually add value to their business, or if they don't have a business, how can this actually add to their investment strategy?
Yeah.
How old are you? What are your goals?
Yeah.
And does this fit? And it's not for everyone.
It isn't for everyone. But for the people that it is a fit, it's a fantastic fit. Okay, John's twisted my arm a bit and he's asked me to add a few extra things. So, anyhow, I was saving this up for a big launch that we're doing in the US next year, but we're going to release it now. So we do a bonus number one is a virtual assistant. We give you a virtual assistant who can take care of all of the details for you, right? And you get the first 40 hours for free with them to try them out, see if it's good fit, see if it works. These guys are fully trained in how to do all this stuff, and they take care of the whole technical process. It's something, it's obviously got some real value to it. Normally here we'd be putting a number on the bottom saying, we think this is worth, but I'm not doing that, as I said before. The other thing is, and John just mentioned this, as we do a one-on-one strategy session with you when you come in. So we really try to tailor this for you. And again, this is all part of, really personalizing this process. We want to make sure that you have goals set, right? And that you clearly have identified what those goals are and the steps to get there. And so what I find is that when you do that, right? And we spend some time on the phone, and generally this is with me. When we do that, you find success much faster because you know where you're going and you know what you need to do, right? And if you haven't set these goals, then you don't know what you need to do, and you don't know where you're going, you know?
Probably a good strategy for life, really.
Yeah. So bonus number 3 is we actually have a whole lot of done-for-you services, and you get access to that. And this is the minimum level you need to be at in order to get access to our done-for-you services. And those include, obviously, we assess your needs in our thing, and then we find suitable sites for you. We can actually go and do the discovery process for you. We can do the due diligence for you. We can transfer the sites for you, and we can even manage the sites. So, you know, you can get into the program, learn the basics, and I'd like everybody to learn how to do it, and then you can get us to do everything for you as well, which makes it super easy, super passive. Bonus number 4 is you will get an invite to Intervestor Capital. Only Academy members, and when I say Academy members, any level of membership within our system, get an invitation to this. So with Intervestor Capital, it's an investment fund managed by a very successful investment broker and financial manager. The average returns for the site for our sites 35% after our fees, and we do major deals. So we do deals, you know, in hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, and you get access to that funding program. So now, the inner circle. These are all the things that you're getting. And again, I'm just going to put the price up here. It's monthly $199 or yearly $195. Now, we normally sell this at $24.95 for the yearly package, or $249 for the monthly package. So you're saving $500 and $600 off the normal advertised price. So I just want to thank you for your time today. And I hope that you took lots of notes and that you have great success with this if you do it on your own. And for those of you that want to work with us, I'm going to leave the link to the purchase page, which is theintervestor.com/special offer. I haven't written it down. And now is the Q&A time. So I know John's been answering questions along the way.
Only 7 of them.
But if you've got any questions specifically for me, I actually like the 2 of us here on this little camera. We should have done this ages ago. If you've got any questions specifically for me, now is your to answer them, and I'll do my utmost best to answer your questions.
To be honest, Eric, you've done such a good job that, and pretty much every single question that came up, you answered. There wasn't a question that you didn't answer all the way through.
Oh, come on, there's got to be some questions.
There's at least 7 of them in there.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions in there, aren't there? So you've obviously done a good job answering them.
You've done well.
Yeah, so
All Blacks. South Africa. Springboks.
All Blacks. So I do really sincerely hope that I hope lots of you actually give this a crack, and whether it's with the Intervestor or you go and do it on your own, I don't really mind. It doesn't bother me either way. I know, like I live in Bali Ubud, right, and it's a very alternative spiritual place, and we have this undying belief that the universe brings us what we're meant to have in order to go to the next stage of our lives, and so I know that people only come and work with us in this program because we're right for them in that moment. Okay, and I do remember, okay, see, it's a bunch of questions coming in, and thank you. I do remember one question, and I really want to answer it. Why do people sell websites so cheap?
Yep.
Well, this is the deal, right? They're not selling them cheap because they believe that's what they're worth, right? And God bless their souls for believing it. When you go through Flipper, you will find websites that are they're valued on a multiplier of 3 to 4 years, but you'll also find websites that are valued on a multiplier of 12 to 24 months, right? So if you want to spend, if you want to buy a site that earns you 5%, believe me, you can find them. They're there. They're there on Flipper, and if that's what you need to feel good about your investment, by crikeys, go ahead and do it, right? But there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs out there, and I've got a little Adam's saying we're having too much fun. I've got a little video on my website at theinvestor.com. Before you go to special offer, you can watch it. And the reality is there are a bunch of entrepreneurs out there that they build these sites and they sell them, right? And they'll own them for a year or two or three, and they sell them. They're very project-driven people. And by far and away, no one believes me really fully until they're in our program and they've bought a few sites and they go, you know what? I was so skeptical about you saying this, and it's only now that I've bought 4 or 5 sites that I actually really know, yeah, you're right. And the reality is they're more interested in doing the projects. They know they can make money every time, and they flog them for a year's turnover, right? Or a year's actual net revenue, not turnover, because they want the money right now to get on with their next project. You know, and it's that simple. They get bored running this site. They're like filmmakers, you know. They're like me, actually. They're like filmmakers. They're like anybody who's a creator. And if you're into human design, or is it a human design it's called?
Volcanoes profiling.
Yeah. And then there are creators and manifestors, and then there are people that chug along and do the stuff, right? So in Intervesting, what we do is we take advantage of the fact that they get bored of these websites and that they want to go on with the next project. And sorry, I'm just looking at some of the comments, and it's really hard not to look at them because they're right there. I'm going to do this, and that's why they do it. They sell them because they want the money right now. Now I'll give you an example, and I've given it in a lot of webinars. There was a Russian guy who built this amazing Forex system, and he was selling it for $250,000. I think it had made him $500,000 in the year before, but it was in a bit of decline. Like it had had its big peak, but it was still making good money, and you know it had leveled out, and it was going to make another 250, and he just wanted the money right now, right? Because his girlfriend, he'd promised his girlfriend a few months before that he was going to take her on a world holiday, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'll bring John into this, and one day his girlfriend, he's sitting in his office working away, just chugging away, rah, 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 as they do, as we all do. And his girlfriend stormed in and just said, if you don't take me on this holiday in the next week, I'm leaving you. Right? And he realized, because she was Russian as well, and I know this is a fact, right? Because my wife's Russian too. She meant it, and she wasn't joking, right? And when your Russian wife walks in the room and says, I'm going to leave you if you don't take me on this holiday, you take her on the holiday, right? Because she isn't mucking around. And so that's what he did. He put it up, and it was making really good money. He put it up for way less than he should have, and he sold it because he knew that he had to take her on this holiday, and he just wanted to clean it up and not have to think about it and just go. Turn the computer off. Yeah, and she's like, I think she'd said something like, you know, and if I see you open a computer anywhere on this holiday, that's it, I'm walking out there and then. And I'm making light of it, but the reality is this is it. There's a lot of project-driven people. There's people, there's all sorts of reasons. You know, you get people that have gone into partnership and maybe one of the partners fall apart, partnership falls apart, they need to sell it. There are lots of reasons why people sell websites. And I'm not about to ask why. I know that they sell them, and I know, and I've bought them, and I've made money, and I've made the money that they said I'm going to make, and that's really all that matters to me. I don't really care why they sell it, right? I'll ask them. I'll always ask them, and if it's that, and the reason is, oh, you know, we're doing the next project. I know, perfect. This is a good one. Yeah.
For every other reason why somebody would sell a business, sell a property, undervalue, all those types of, all of those apply.
Okay, so Dennis, what do you believe is the best value and difference to the Intervestor membership? Okay, all right. So the thing is, like a lot of other website money-making strategies are about you taking a system and then building it. You know, using their tools or their software to build a funnel or build an email list or whatever, and then find a product and sell it. Intervestor is much, much simpler than that. We go out and we find businesses that are already doing well, that are already online making money, and we buy them. It's really straightforward. And fortunately, we can buy them at really, really cheap prices, right? And I'm amazed that more people haven't caught on to this, and I'm really grateful that they haven't caught on to it, because it gives us an enormous opportunity, you know, because when a lot of people are buying these, the prices are going to go up. It's that simple. It's supply and demand. But right now, there's more sellers than there are buyers, and it's been like this for 3 years, for 3.5 years that I know. And sorry, there's a comment here about John's hair. And it's been like this for a while, and I think it's going to continue to be like this for quite a while yet. So, so the big difference is that when you join the Intervestor program or you start investing on your own, is that you make money from day one. You know, the moment you buy that site, it's making you money, and it's a sure bet. It's there. It's doing it. You know, so and the reality is when they're yielding so much, when they're yielding, this is so distracting. I'm just going to get rid of this thing. Sorry. When they're yielding so much, you can do really, really well with this system. You know, that's what I love about it. So yeah, it's different because it's a legitimate business, and it's not building something from nothing. You're taking over things that are actually already something, and then you have an opportunity to build it up even more. And the other advantage is that you can sort of start buying strategically, right? And already, Bernie is already doing this, right? The buyer, I'll give you a little thing here. She bought one site a week ago, and often we see a little bit of a dip in the income when you first take it over, right? And then it slowly comes up after a month. And that's very normal, right? We're never really too worried about that. She started negotiating with the seller on another deal, right? And somehow her and her son started doing a lot of the negotiation. They somehow got around to the thing that he'd just bought this other website, and that they're having a bit of a dip in it. And so the seller has gone, oh, send me the details, I'll have a look at it, right? So he's had a look at it, right? And he's gone, okay, give me the login and I'll fix it up for you. And he brought the income up 40%, literally overnight, just tweaking a couple of things on the site. So, and now they're looking at buying this site, their next site from that particular person. And so he's going to start managing their other sites that they've bought. And this is all in 3 weeks, in the grand total of 21 days, right? And she's now halfway to her income goals. And it's been 3 weeks since she bought her first one, and 8 weeks since she started the process. And I was talking to her about it on a call today, and she said to me, yeah, I planned to be here by Christmas, and it's now October, and I'm already here, and wow. Okay, so what other questions have we got here? Oh, John, you're answering them all.
Yes, well, you answering them, so I'm just letting them fly too.
Okay, so
I think
give me
done.
is that it? Are we done? Okay, yeah. We've gone a little bit over. It was a lot better than last time. Okay, so we better get off the call. And thank you again so much for joining me. It's been a real pleasure. And I noticed quite a lot of you have stayed right on to the end. And thank you. Yeah. It makes me feel good when you stay all the way through and you actually listen to me talk about my offer and and all that sort of stuff.
We only had 2 people leave, and they probably needed the toilet or something.
Yeah, well, I did tell them to leave if they weren't interested.
Exactly.
So, okay, so I'm just going to pop this here again for the last little bit. And thank you, Dennis. I like my shirt too. I bought this one yesterday. So there it is, $199 a month, $19.95 a year.
All good.
It's not going to be this price for long, I can tell you that.
No more to say, Eric. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, John.
From all the way down to Brisbane Villas.
Yeah. You get to see him 2 angles.
For our team over here, we got a live audience. It's been great to have a live audience. And also, thank you for you guys for being on the call. Looking forward to connecting with you soon. Myself and the team, and that I'm looking forward to calling you and having a chat to you about seeing how this can fit for you. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. See you all soon. Cheers.
Bye.